All right. So the Houston Texans have traded for running back David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions. And I got to tell you, this is an okay move for the Houston Texans. I like it. I think it's going to help them out plenty. And for the Lions, this is a move that they unfortunately needed to make. Let's break down the trade and let's talk about it a little bit and give you guys a little bit more free agency, overall NFL offseason content news that I really haven't done so far. If you guys have noticed that I've done a lot of Titans content, I've done only Titans content so far for the most part. So I want to give you guys something a little bit different for those of you guys that don't really care about the Tennessee Titans and care more about the general NFL landscape, which is what I talk about most often. So that being said, let's break it down. So the Texans got David Montgomery and they sent the Detroit Lions offensive lineman Juice Scruggs and a fourth-round pick in this year's draft, and then a 2027 seventh-round pick. So Texans get a solid running back, Lions get an offensive lineman, and a couple draft picks in return. Let's talk about the Lions side of it first, because they're like the least interesting part of it. The Texans definitely have a lot more interesting parts to this trade than the Lions do. But for the Lions, David Montgomery, he had 2,500 yards for them, 33 touchdowns in his 3 years. He has been great for the Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously the Sonic and Knuckles duo that they've been. That comes to an end, which is very sad, but this is a move that was written on the wall. Not only did David Montgomery have the worst year of his career, definitely had the worst stats easily, had the least amount of snaps, had a very limited role, and Jahmyr Gibbs continued to go off and go insane. And with that, and also the Lions' financial situation, there's a reason why he was considered a cut candidate, but he ended up getting traded. The Lions went into this offseason with negative $8 million in cap space. That's not like a bad thing. Like, it's not like being negative $8 million over the salary cap. That's not bad. You can make a couple moves and you can fix that, in which the Lions have made a couple moves already. And you got to get your head above water somehow. Before you can start bringing in new players, you got to get yourself above the water first. Because legally, if you guys don't know this, if you're over the salary cap, like if you have negative X amount of money in salary cap, you can't spend money on other players until that number goes into the green. So you got to get into the green first, and David Montgomery was a candidate to get his money off the books. It saved the Lions $5.5 million, 5.6 to be specific. But it's not just David Montgomery. The Lions also released offensive lineman Graham Glasgow, which also saved them. No, 5.6 million was the cap hit for Graham Glasgow. I'm sorry. I think David Montgomery, I think his was 3 million or 4 million. I can't remember what his salary cap hit was. I apologize. Sorry for the misinformation. But the Lions need to do this. They need to upload some contracts, get into the green, and like I said, trading Montgomery was part of that. But getting Drew Scruggs, you get a guy to seemingly replace Graham Glasgow. Drew Scruggs is a nothing burger. He's trash. Drew Scruggs is awful. He's terrible. And as someone who is a Titans fan, I've watched Titans play the Texans twice a year. Seeing him play, Drew Scruggs is not a good football player. He is not. And so the people that might be thinking that he'll take Glasgow's spot, no, absolutely not. But if you want to look at it as a depth option, I could see that. Maybe if you can't get an interior offensive lineman in free agency, maybe you can just, you have someone that you can maybe rely on as a break glass in case of emergency option. He's also young. He just turned 26 years old. So there is a reason for getting Drew Scruggs, but this is not a replacement by any means, I don't think. It's absolutely not. But getting away from the trade, the biggest indicator for the Lions in this trade is that they're going to draft a running back. Could they add one in free agency? Sure. But at least in my opinion, I think they'd want to add something a little younger. They want to add maybe one of these younger power backs that's going to go on day 3 in the draft. So I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot at this point. We're going to know here very soon with free agency opening next week. But definitely they're going to need another running back in there to help offload some carries of Jahmyr Gibbs. Because Jahmyr Gibbs, he can take the majority of the carries. He's definitely going to be a top pick in fantasy next year. But that doesn't mean you give him 25 plus carries a game. No, you need another guy to help take off some of that workload. I mean, look at how well Kenneth Walker has developed with Zach Charbonnet in the backfield, right? You want good, if you want elite production, you need some guy behind your starter to help offload some of that so he stays fresh for a longer period of time. So now we'll move to the Houston Texans side of things, and that's where things get a little bit more interesting, because originally I was skeptical about this move because I was like, oh, they gave up a 4th and a 7th round pick. I mean, they could have used those to draft a running back themselves or draft an offensive lineman, which they really need help with. But I was like, oh, wait, that 7th round pick's a 2027 7th round pick. That's nothing. That's nothing. Getting rid of Juice Scruggs, that's nothing. He was a starter, sure, but not a good one. He's not a good football player. So you give up your 4th overall pick. What is it? Pick 107th or 106th overall, I think. So, I mean, you give up a 4th round pick for David Montgomery, and you probably would have gotten a 4th round pick if you had traded for him like that anyways. So, sure, the Texans gave up next to nothing for David Montgomery, and they get an upgraded running back. So, fine. I'll take that. Absolutely not. And the pairing with him and Woody Marks is a good one. Woody Marks is more of a one-cut slasher type of running back, and David Montgomery provides a little bit more power. And so now you have the power you need. You have the veteran experience you need. And definitely you're not going to get that from Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was not good. That was a nothing burger of a year from Nick Chubb. So he's going to be a free agent. He's gone. He's out of here. We'll talk about Joe Mixon more in a second. But the thing is, David Montgomery, right now, I'm worried about how well he's going to do in Houston because the Texans' offensive line is garbage. I mean, they had last year the worst, and almost objectively, the worst run-blocking offensive line in the entire NFL by multiple metrics. And so, for an offense and for an offensive system led by Nick Caley, which really puts the run game in the forefront, especially between the tackles running, I right now, I mean, I can't see how that's going to work out well. I mean, of course, they have 3 picks in the top 100. They have a 1st round pick, 2 seconds, and a 3rd. So they're definitely going to draft an offensive lineman. They're definitely going to pick one in the 1st round. That's for sure. If they don't pick an offensive lineman in the 1st round, that player that they pick better be really valuable and better be really good to take them over an offensive lineman. The Texans absolutely need it. So we'll have to see there. But they definitely have to get better. And they also traded Titus Howard to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns gave him an extension. I get that. I mean, Titus Howard is an average tackle in the NFL. He's a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. But if you don't want to give him an extension, fine. Like I said, he's an average tackle. Give him to Cleveland, where all their starting offensive linemen have to be free agents. They need that more than, they need Titus Howard more than the Texans need Titus Howard, as weird as that kind of sounds, given the situation. But, shoot, the Browns and Texans, they love to trade with each other, don't they? So there is that. And this does say one thing about the Houston Texans then trading for David Montgomery. And it's that's a phrase, right? That's a sentence that makes grammatical sense. No, it doesn't. Anyways, this tells me that Joe Mixon is done. He is no longer in Houston. He is gone. It's at this point, it's written in pen. It's a done deal. Joe Mixon missed all of last year with a foot injury, and considering that Woody Marks showed some promise last year, you get a powerful running back like David Montgomery that complements him well, so you have a decent 1-2 punch on paper. At that point, there is no longer a need for Joe Mixon anymore. He's hurt. He hasn't been with the team. Bye. At this point, I mean, it's a done deal. He's gone. He's out of here. I don't think you would trade a 4th round pick for David Montgomery and then try and keep Joe Mixon and Woody Marks around. I mean, at that point, you have a surplus of running backs that you don't need, and you wouldn't trade for David Montgomery if you weren't intending to have a big role for him in your offense, right? So Joe Mixon, he's gone, he's done, and that begs the question, who wins this trade? Obviously, we can't know that. We can't know that right now 100%, because obviously we got to wait for the full season to go through and see, okay, does David Montgomery perform well? What does Juice Scruggs do? I doubt he does anything, but hey, who knows? Maybe someone gets hurt and he comes in and he plays well. I don't know, with better coaching. Maybe. He was a 2nd round pick for a reason, right? So we'll see, but after the end of this year, I don't know at this point, 2026, we'll say that. At the end of 2026, we'll have an answer to that, but right now, if I had to give you an answer, I would to the Texans, because, they got a good running back, a good football player. They got an upgrade at running back that they really didn't give up a lot for. And they also got him for cheap as well. So there you go. I mean, that's a direct upgrade for them. And for the Lions, they get an extra dart to throw at the draft. Woo! And they get an offensive lineman for depth that they probably should never start, but we'll see. Woo! So right now, definitely the Texans fare it out better, but we'll have to see. I just wanted to talk to you guys about this and break it down. It's not a big trade in the NFL, but wanted to make some more general NFL news content for you guys. So with that being said, if you guys have made it this far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe button. Help me grow and spread my football passion to more and more people on this platform. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think of this trade? Who wins? What do you think David Montgomery will do with the Houston Texans? Will it help the Texans offensive line with a more experienced, powerful runner? Will it help CJ Stroud? I think it will. We'll have to see. And also make sure to follow me on social media, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Got some great content coming out for you guys. I have a mock draft first round 1.0 coming out either later in the week or early next week. It might be early next week just because I want to do some in-depth research on these prospects first before I go and do the mock draft, right? So probably going to be early next week when that comes out. So stay tuned, mark your calendars. Going to be really, really fun to make that video. I always like making mock drafts. I hate hypotheticals for football. I've been on record talking about that. But man, mock drafts are still fun to make. They're always a treat, and especially because the draft is in a month. So great time to make it. Plenty of time to make a couple more as well. So that's going to do it for this one. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys oh so very much, and I will see you all next time.